Hi, Alan Sides here again for another question. This one is from Lynn Stanley, who's actually an artist that I know who follows my Instagram. She asked, what do you do differently when you're preparing for a larger band versus a smaller group and a solo artist? Unfortunately, it's such a broad question, it's hard for me to answer that in a reasonable length of time, but I'll kind of take it like in a smaller group. In the case of Lynn, a smaller jazz group where basically it's just guitar, bass, drums, and piano, possibly a sax, and her. And so I'll talk a little about that and how I would do it. In Lynn's case, I think in terms of getting the biggest, widest sound I possibly can. And some of the stuff that's quieter, like where it's basically just brushes and acoustic bass and guitar. I think in terms of, in the drums, I will use mostly the overhead mics. So I'll put up a pair of original tube C12s, C12As, a space cardioid pair, probably a foot and a half apart. They sit over the drums, and a kick mic. And for that stuff, it sounds so much better when you're playing brushes to only have the two mics going, because then you don't get that close mic kind of sound. You get this big, wide open sound. Now, when he goes to sticks, I'll use the microphones in a different configuration. The bass player is going to be Chuck Berghofer typically, and Chuck's one of the greatest bass players I've ever recorded in my life. His instrument sounds absolutely ridiculous, so I put up a pair of U47s in stereo on him, and so he does his solos, and he's the only guy playing. It's big as a house. It's wide. It's open. In regards to the piano, it depends on which person's playing. If it's a person playing pretty hard on the piano, I might go for a microphone like the Tube C12As, which is a little softer sound, or a pair of 251 tellies. If the guy is going to play much softer, quieter, I might go for an original pair of C12s, maybe a set of Schoeps CMC5s. I'm looking for optimizing the right mics for the right instrument for the player that I'm recording. Because I've been doing this for so long, and I know so many musicians, and I've recorded so many of them over the years, I've got a pretty good idea of what they're going to sound like, what their instruments are going to sound like. So I think about all the mics that I would use for that situation. And the other thing I think in terms of is the room I'm recording it in. If I'm recording in a room where the acoustics maybe aren't that great, I might try to isolate everybody as best I can. And with the drums, say, I might put some moving blankets around it occasionally. I want to get the cleanest, tightest sound with the least bad ambience I can. And then I'll just call up the Ocean Way room plugin and add the Ocean Way room after the fact in a mixing situation. So, and then the other thing I think in terms of is visually, these guys want to see each other. So I've got to set it up in such a way where I can get the isolation I need, say the acoustic bass is in the booth, and the guitar can probably be out in the room. And the drums, so that everybody can see each other and the vocalist can connect. And then in Lynn's case, I typically use a U47, which sounds great on her. So that just gives you an idea of what I would do for a smaller group. And I hope that's of some help. Thanks.